here. So thank you today for joining us, students, staff, and our panelists. We have three wonderful guests today. They're going to share this information about themselves. Go ahead, feel free to get pizza. Information about their organization. And really, they're going to share just advice that they can give you all as students who are interested in engineering career fields. For those in person, if you have questions at the end, you all can just share your questions out loud. For those of you on video call, if you want to type your questions in the chat, you can, or if you want to unmute yourself when it's time for questions, feel free to do that too. You can do either one. If you put your questions in the chat box, I'm happy to read them at the end when we get to that point. Okay? So our first panelist that will be speaking today is Jennifer Finney. She works at Washington University in St. Louis, and she is a career services staff person who helps in the engineering department. She helps work with engineering students. So she will share her story with us first.
Thank you for having me. As you said, my name is Jennifer Finney, and I'm a career advisor here at WashU in St. Louis. So my background is that I actually have an electrical engineering degree from WashU. I went to WashU Engineering School. My degree is electrical engineering. My focus is a little bit more biomedical engineering, but that was a new major when I was a student, so I stuck with the traditional one. And then after I graduated with my degree, I worked in engineering for a while. So I worked for a small startup doing biomedical devices here in St. Louis for several years. I also have a second major in German, which is completely unrelated to today's discussion. But as part of that, I managed to go get my company to transfer me to Germany for a little while to work. But then I kind of felt done with that path with that company. They'd grown a lot, and I was more on the sales side at that point. And so I ended up working part-time at WashU as a career advisor as a specialist for engineering, which was not my goal. I did not try to do that. In fact, when people suggested it to me, I said, "What are you talking about? I'm an engineer. I'm not a career advisor." But it ended up working out really well, and I loved it. So I did that part-time while doing some part-time engineering work at a bigger company, and ended up deciding that I really do love this work. So I got my master's in career counseling. And now I work full-time at WashU, helping students with their job and internship search. And it's awesome. As far then as all this goes, I mean, I certainly can talk about my work in engineering, but I think I'm really here to talk about my work helping students find jobs more. And so some of the things that I would just share is that as I'm working with students looking for jobs, it can often be intimidating to feel like, oh, why would an internship hire me? I've never had an internship before. I haven't taken engineering classes yet, or whatever. And in my experience, when you're looking for positions, it's really a lot more important that you're interested and want to do it and learn and grow than that you have specific experience to get into these positions. And that there's going to be a lot of more general things they look for, those transferable skills. So things that are really important are to have experiences, but they don't have to be engineering experiences, or they don't have to be in the exact field you want to be in, because often you don't even know, right? You're just exploring. So I think just exploring and doing experiences to build on those skills and to figure out what you want to do is the most important thing. You know, most jobs are hiring engineers because you have problem solving skills and teamwork. Of course, you do still have to do some engineering. It's not like that's not part of it, but they're not usually hiring based on those really hard skills. It's on the problem solving ability and the ability to work with people. And so you can develop that in a variety of ways. I would also put in a plug that, you know, we really want to look at experience, but experience doesn't have to be an internship. It could be. It can be more of a traditional job, right? That you're just trying to make money, but you're still developing some of those skills. If you're working at Starbucks, you are still developing some really good problem solving and teamwork skills. And then there's lots of other ways, right? Like student activities you're a part of. Obviously classes and things like that, right, are important, but projects, shadowing, connecting, just to learn more about the field. Really, so much of this is just an interest and curiosity, and internships are there to teach you more. So that's my biggest overall plug, is to not feel like you're not ready, right? We're never ready, but just continue to build up those skills and then learn how to sell those skills. I feel like that was maybe short, but that was my initial thoughts, unless I missed something I was supposed to say.
No, I think that's perfect. Yeah. Yeah. For those that came in a little bit late, so Jennifer here is with Washington University. She is, what's your exact title, Jennifer? I didn't write it down.
Oh, it's Assistant Director of Career Development for Engineering, but that's a long title. I'm a career advisor.
I think higher education enjoys those long titles. Yeah, so Jennifer is with WashU, and I know you missed the beginning of it, but when it's time for questions at the end, if you have any questions for her, just regarding like what's it like transitioning into a dual degree program, if you have any additional questions about as a student what to expect, from career services, what kind of services are they going to provide you in that continuing education. So be thinking about that when we get to questions at the end. Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. And so we're going to move on to Aarick. Aarick Roberto is a recruiter for the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. So he's going to speak about his career path and just share some information about that department.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, everybody. So my name is Aarick Roberto. I'm the recruiter at DNR, like Mandy said. My career path was a little different. I went to Penn State University. I started out in a zoology program, and I switched to psychology my second year. And then in my third year, I switched back to a biology degree. I didn't really know where I wanted to be. And to be honest with you, I actually didn't even finish college. In my senior year, I dropped out. And I moved because things were not working out for me in life. So I made the decision not to try to push something, and I took some time to myself. I moved out here to Missouri, and when I did, I got a job with the Department of Natural Resources as a clerical staff working in the air pollution control program. I worked there for about 3 years, and then I transferred over to human resources because I saw the amount of work that our employees do. And I knew that I couldn't do that type of work myself, but I could help others get that job and do that work. So I've been working for the department since 2011, so over about 10 years now. And my main focus is to help people find the jobs that are suited for them and the things they love to do. So when I go to schools, when I go to career fairs and I talk to people, my number one question is, what brings you to DNR? And most of the time they are engineering students. So my suggestion for you all is find the spot in engineering that you love. Here at DNR, we have a lot of engineers, but a lot of them are going to be environmental engineers, chemical engineers, civil engineers. But DNR is not the only state agency that utilizes your degree. There are other state agencies that do as well, such as MoDOT, agriculture. So when you're looking for jobs past your degree, keep a lot of things in mind. Your degree in engineering will not just focus on one thing. You can apply that to a lot of different areas of expertise. Now, when you're going through your actual major classes, the ones that will apply to the degree you're going to get, my recommendation is find what you love. If you want to do environmental engineering, focus your classes on that. There's a few that you might actually be able to carry over into other things. But anything that has an engineering background, you'll be able to qualify for a state job. Now, when it comes to, like Jennifer said, internships, we have internships every single year. The application process for ours, unfortunately, just ended last Friday, but we have ours open at the end of November, and they run all the way up until March, and then there are summer internships. So when we have our internships and we hire them, you actually do the job of an engineer. So if you're interested in water quality work, maybe architectural design, you'll be shadowing somebody who does that job and then doing that job alongside them. You're not just going to be put into a cube and given a bunch of work. You're going to be learning a lot of different things. So sometimes you'll learn water quality work. You might learn environmental remediation. You might also learn air pollution. They try to give you an overall education while you're here for the short time. They're also paid internships, which is really good because not only are you getting, the education, but you're getting paid for that as well. There's not a lot of state agencies that do that. Sometimes based on their budget, they're going to be volunteer basis only. Don't set yourself aside just for the paid ones. You want to get as much education experience as you can. When you're leaving school and starting your full-time work, they're going to look for any past experience that you have, but also any projects that you've worked on, any shadowing you've done, like Jennifer stated. So please, when you're doing your resumes and when you're setting up yourself, give yourself a lot more credit than you should, because there's going to be a lot more than that you have on your plate than you think you do. And we want to make sure that when managers are looking at your resume or your profile, that they're seeing every bit of you that is going to be applicable, but also highlights your skills. As far as state jobs, as far as getting in at the entry level, we want to make sure that you can successfully pass the fundamentals of engineering exam. For higher degree or for higher positions in our program, we do recommend that you have knowledge of the entire professional engineers exam, because you will be required to pass that in order to have a higher position with us. And we do like to hire promote from within. So any state agency that you do get on with, whether that be MoDOT or us or another agency, they do like to hire from or promote from within. So once you get hired, they're going to look for you first for any higher positions. So this is why I'm going to send some information to you, Mandy, if that's okay, after today, with some links to the state of Missouri's website that'll show you the career paths for engineers, as well as where we post all of our full-time, part-time, and internship positions. And even if you're not looking for an internship or a full-time job right now, it's good just to take a look at those websites and to get some experience with what we want, because that might actively persuade you to move forward with where you want to be at. You might not like the classes you're taking now, but then you're looking at environmental engineer positions. You're like, well, that actually sounds pretty interesting. Any little bit is going to help you. And then if you find an internship you don't like, I recommend just taking it, because I talked to somebody one time in a career fair and he said he took this internship because he knew he wasn't going to like it. And he wanted to be 100% sure he was not going to like what he did. And when he left that internship, he knew that is not what he wanted to do. So any little bit of experience helps, even the ones that you know you're not going to like, because that'll just solidify you and where you want your future career path to be.
Yeah, Aarick, I think that's such a great point. I'm gonna roll up here so you guys can hear me better. I think that's such a great point. I share with students all the time, if there's something they're not liking in their current internship, that's a great thing, and I'm actually excited about it. And I get weird looks from the students because they're like, "Why are you excited that I don't like doing something?" But it's exactly to your point. Like it's identifying things that you don't want to do, or maybe things that you don't want it to be 100% of what you do every single day. It's all learning opportunity, even those negative experiences or those tasks that you just dread doing every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to give you some insight into what we do here what you'll do here as an engineer in DNR, at least, you'll be performing engineering and technical reviews and write-ups of construction and operating permits. So at DNR, we try to mitigate the amount of pollution that's in the atmosphere, land, and water. So whenever you're an engineer, you're going to be building those permits and working with facilities around the state. You'll also be working with EPA on regulatory issues, as well as reviewing engineer plans and reports for facilities to ensure that they are in compliance with the state regulations.
Thank you. Okay, so Aarick, if you are done for now, we'll move on to Linda. So for those of you that joined us on the February panel, Linda will be a familiar face. In the February panel, she spoke about her company, Moen. Today, she's going to share some slides and talk to you about the University of Missouri's dual degree engineering program. Belinda, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming back, any of you who were here last time. This is good discussion. Anytime you can talk to people about what engineering careers might be there for you and what you might be interested in, that's always worthwhile. And I agree with Aarick. We would just as soon have you as an intern and find out that you don't like what we do than hire you as a new grad and find out a year later you don't like what you do. So we've had both of those things happen. Our big win-win is if we find an intern who loves what we do, and then we try to keep you. So any intern experience is great. It really helps you understand, what engineering is all about from a day-to-day standpoint. So what I do is mostly in the office. I'm a civil engineer, but I do design work. So I'm usually in the office. I do field checks, but I'm not usually wearing work boots daily. So, that's a little bit different aspect of engineering. Today, I'm really supposed to be here to talk to you about Mizzou. I went to Mizzou. A whole bunch of my family and friends went to Mizzou. I still keep up with students who are at Mizzou. My kids went to college at Mizzou with engineers. They are not engineers, but a lot of their friends are engineers. So I do have a pretty good feel of the pulse of Mizzou, and I love that campus. I love that school, and I'd like to give you a little of that enthusiasm today. So I'm going to share a PowerPoint that the Mizzou College of Engineering put together for me. I'm not an expert on any of this stuff, so I'm going to go through it pretty fast. But I will share the PowerPoint if you want to refer back to it. It's got a lot of good information in it. So here's my screen. There you go. Is that working okay?
Yep.
All right. This is the College of Engineering. If you're ever on the Mizzou campus, the engineering building is right next to the columns. So it's one of the oldest parts of campus. And we all, if you went to Mizzou, especially for engineering, we hold this part of the campus very near and dear. So they have 10 undergraduate degree programs. And I've got another slide that shows the list of those. They have one of the top, I will say the top computer science program in Missouri, since they put it that way. I do know a lot of computer science majors from Mizzou that have really good jobs at Boeing, Garmin, Google in California. They've got a really good program for computer science. They also have dual programs in industrial engineering and information technology. So I'm going to quickly go over the admission requirements. The 26 ACT score and up to 25%, the top 25% of your high school class is what they're looking for. They set the bar a little higher for engineering admittance just because they have a lot of people trying to get into that college. So 29.8 is the average freshman ACT score. So just so you get a feel for what you're competing with if you're going to college for engineering. The pre-engineering program starts students out with a lot of foundational classes. So that's been true for 30 years. They'll ask you to take classes in all the different disciplines of engineering so that you get a little taste of it and get a little feel for what do you like most. Do you really like the electrical side? Do you really like the water and the mechanical side? Do you like engineering or civil engineering, environmental, roads, bridges? What really gets you excited? You'll notice that to get into the mechanical engineering program, you have to have a higher GPA. That's because they have so many people wanting to enroll in mechanical engineering. And we've been trying to dissect that and figure out why. And we think it's because of the success of robotics, that everybody gets their first taste in robotics, and that side of engineering feels like mechanical engineering to them. Civil's the best, of course. The tuition fees are pretty high. So, keep in mind you're going to a state college. It's going to be a pretty expensive degree. So doing any kind of a pre-engineering program is a really good idea. So you know that you want to go into engineering before you start paying these higher fees. There is an extra per credit hour fee for engineering students. As far as scholarships go, there's a lot of ways you can get scholarships. The reason that Mandy asked me to be here today is because the civil engineering department actually has a transfer scholarship program, and they're really excited about getting the transfer students to finish their last 2 or 3 years at Mizzou. So we gave you a link of how you can find that. It's called the Civil and Environmental Engineering Transfer Scholarship. And it's kind of buried on the website. Just like every scholarship you're going to apply for, you really have to dig to find the information and find who qualifies. But this is a scholarship that the civil engineering department's alum decided was very important. There weren't any scholarships available for transfer students, so we wanted to make sure we were providing something for people coming into the College of Engineering after a pre-engineering program. So this is in place, and it's not very well known. So a lot of times there aren't very many applicants. So please pay attention to this. If you're interested in going to Mizzou, go talk to the civil engineering department, make sure they hook you up with this application and submit that. We usually are making decisions on that scholarship in the spring. So, pay attention to that. If you're interested in transferring, make sure you find all the scholarship opportunities. And there's plenty of people on the campus that will help you with that. I'm sure Mandy can help you figure out how you navigate a campus to find those people in the civil engineering office or the engineering office in general who can point you to people who will help you find scholarships. So here are the 10 engineering majors: biological, biomedical, chemical, civil and environmental, computer engineering, computer science, electrical engineering, industrial and manufacturing, information technology, and mechanical and aerospace. So that's what's offered at Mizzou. All of those are really strong programs. A few years back, Mizzou had the first woman engineering college dean, and she was really an amazing person who interconnected all the departments with the College of Engineering. So Mizzou has that to offer you. And I found that out when I went to school there too, that you're an engineering student at a College of Engineering that's fairly, small and well-connected, but you're on a campus that's huge with all kinds of other majors. And the College of Engineering is very well connected to the medical department. They're very well connected to the ag department, to all the different things on campus that work together with engineering, including the business school, a lot of different aspects of college that are all at your fingertips if you're at Mizzou, because you're in the middle of a huge university. So civil engineering, they threw this in because they knew I was a civil engineer. So it does combine a whole lot of different things. If you're a civil engineer, there's a lot of different directions you can go. Some people are in construction where they're working at a work site every day. Some people are going more towards the survey and field side. And lots of environmental, lots of water work in the civil engineering department. So it's a really neat program that's got a really big umbrella. You can have a lot of different job experiences as a civil engineer. There's a lot of engineering minors that go together, and I'm not an expert on this, so I can't tell you, how you can get a computational neuroscience minor. That doesn't mean anything to me, but there's a lot of neat interconnected minors that you can get on campus also. They've also got an accelerated Bachelor of Science, that's what BS means in this case, to Masters of Science in Civil Engineering. So while you're on campus, you can talk to the departments about that path, so you can be working towards your master's and have that in mind as you're getting your bachelor degree also. There are other campus minors. They list a few. I know there's way more than this, but math is a very common minor for a civil engineer or any engineering degree. Architectural studies is very common for civil engineers to have an architectural studies or structural minor. The business minor is very good too. You could also get a master's in business. Foreign languages, like Jennifer said, she took German. I took German also. There's a lot of foreign language opportunities that will help you, in the global market if you're wanting to have other opportunities, to interact with people across the world. And then music is an interesting minor for engineers. Music and engineering are very well connected too. There's a lot of good student support on campus. This is one of the new sections of the engineering campus. And you can see those big screens, the way they've got it set up so that you can interact with other students and do a lot of teamwork is great on campus. Diversity and inclusion is strong on that campus too, especially in the College of Engineering. They have a lot of international students studying there. They have a good program that provides support for those. So we've got all in the College of Engineering, there's a whole section where you can meet with counselors that will help you navigate things if you are studying internationally, which means there's good international students on campus for us to interact with. The Society of Women Engineers, the Society of Black Engineers are very strong on campus. There's a Women in Engineering focus, multicultural engineering programs, so that's all good. There's also a lot of academic assistance. You can get tutors right on campus. A lot of the higher level engineering students are providing tutor opportunities for the freshmen. And this is especially good for transfer students coming in, not just with your class tutoring, but to have, a mentor that can help you navigate some of the things that they've learned in their first 2 years that you can catch up with quickly. There's a good career center right in the College of Engineering. There's a huge career fair that they sponsor every year, a lot of really good access to companies hiring. So over 200 companies recruit engineering students annually. I know this because my nephews were part of this. Garmin out of Kansas City recruits at Mizzou. Google out of California recruits at Mizzou. There's a lot of Texas recruiters that come. So there's a lot of good opportunities right on campus to find job opportunities. They also have a really neat undergraduate research program. I know about this a little bit too, because our alumni group helps fund this. So paid research assistant opportunities if you're on campus. They really do a lot of research right in the College of Engineering. And if you get involved in that, you learn a lot. You learn a lot about the business side of things. You learn a lot about how to interact with professors. And then of course, you learn how to do hands-on engineering work too. Student involvement on the campus is great. I'm sure you know that. Mizzou is a huge, awesome place to be for football games, basketball games, and then a whole lot of other extracurricular events that go on there. Concerts, good restaurants. I mean, it's a great campus environment to be involved with. E-Week, I don't know how many of you have ever been involved with Engineers Week, but St. Patrick was an engineer, haha. So we all take the opportunity to spend St. Patrick's Week celebrating engineers. So the dome of Jesse Hall is green. There's cudgels and shamrocks all over the campus, and we have a lot of fun with that. They also have a study abroad program, and I don't know anything about this. So if you're interested in that, be sure you ask those questions when you go to register or to apply at Mizzou. They are very focused on student success. 93% of their graduates are employed, and I can speak to that. I've got a lot of engineering graduates at my company. I added my name to this list. Engineering alumni work at all of those places. EFK Moen is my company, and I know Mizzou grads that work at all those companies. I don't know anybody at Tesla, but I know people at all the others. So that $64,000 average starting salary, I'll put that in perspective of, $25 to $30 an hour is probably where you're going to start as an engineering graduate. And then of course, there's great potential to make a really good salary if you are an engineering graduate. There's more than 500 alum that are current CEOs and presidents. That's really an interesting statistic. Somebody found that Mizzou has a ton of engineering and other business CEOs and presidents. So that's kind of a neat aspect. You're right there with the business college and you can learn a lot. So you kind of heard this already. If you're ready to solve problems, Mizzou's a great place to be. Here's some contact information. This is the old engineering building. Sorry about that. So I like to show the old, and then this is the new College of Engineering building. So this is actually on the back side of that older building. They've really done a good job of keeping up to date with new facilities at the College of Engineering, new library, new labs, lots of good new labs. And it's a really nice place to be. So that's all I have. And I will stop sharing. And I think, yeah.
So I'm going to open it up for questions. For those of you in the classroom, feel free to share your question. If you're in the back, you may have to come up closer so it's not as distant sounding. For those who are on Zoom, you can unmute yourself, or if you feel more comfortable, you can type your questions in the chat box, and I'm happy to read those aloud. Does anyone have questions? Yes.
I also want to ask first. So I have a question for Linda, actually. This is Tom Yu. I'm Associate Professor of Math here, and also a coordinator for the Dual Degree Engineer program. My question is this. So we actually started over a year ago collaboration with MU Engineering. We were actually nearly done with our work to establish a dual degree engineering program with the particular civil engineering and biomedical engineering. And then all of a sudden, there's, as you might know, the change in leadership. And then, so this thing was put on hold. So I was just wondering, do you know any status of their national search? How, because the interim leadership is not really, interested in making any decisions for the, incoming dean.
Sure, and I don't know that. I'm sorry, I should have looked into that because I do know that they're working very hard on that. They had so much success.
But it's really hard for them to run the national search.
Exactly.
That's why I was wondering any updates on that.
Yeah, I don't have any, I'm sorry. Mandy, I can try to look into that and get you some information.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we look forward to it. So we had really nice conversations with Professor Salim in civil engineering and his team. So, and then that was back when he was associate dean of engineering. So,
Right.
And then, they're given the changes, so we're just wondering, we would really like to resume our conversation so we can get this done, because we're actually at that point that we were going to get a draft articulation agreement with MU, that was like over a year ago. So we'd like to, resume the conversation and then maybe, get it done, so make it, another option for our engineering undergrads here, so they will be able to, pursue different directions at MU as well.
Yeah, that's great. And Mandy kind of allowed me to open that discussion up again because I asked Mizzou to help me with this presentation and, was talking about Westminster. So I will definitely circle back around with them and bring that up.
If you wouldn't mind, could I maybe ask Mandy to give you my contact information and we can maybe you and I can talk offline if necessary?
Absolutely. That'd be great.
All right. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a question. Oh, Cole asked, this might be for you, Ken. Cole asked, so Westminster doesn't have a dual degree program with Mizzou yet. And so that answer would be no, not yet.
No, not yet. Yeah, but that was exactly my question. We were really working on it. But by the time he graduates, I expect we should be able to get it done. He's a freshman.
So fingers crossed. I have a question if no one else has any. Jennifer, I'm going to go back to you. I kind of have a question for each of you, and then a general one. But Jennifer, you talked about students feeling kind of intimidated when they're looking for internships, particularly if they don't have a engineering specific internship, or maybe they don't have any kind of experience yet at all. Can you share with us, like, from your perspective, like, how do you talk to students who are really feeling that intimidation? Or maybe feeling that they're not prepared at all, when really they are, they're where they should be?
Yeah, I do a lot of that, and it's hard. So some of it is just trying to normalize it and let people know that. Um, what's interesting for me is that this often comes up when we're working on your resume, right? And students will come in with like nothing on their resume. And so it's always a balance because I don't want to just be like, what else have you done? And make you feel bad if you haven't. But what I find is students are saying, I haven't done anything else. And if we can dig in, of course you've done other things, right? You're just not thinking they're important. And so going ahead and putting all those things on, especially when you're coming in to talk to me or a career advisor, right? Like it's a different thing when you're applying to a company, you want to like curate that more. But to get started with us, put everything down and we can help you say, like, I think you can leave this off or we should emphasize this more. But again, all these things you are doing, everything you're doing is useful. My standard example is I'm in the juggling club, which I'm not. That has nothing to do with engineering, but put it on there, right? Like it's fun. It makes you stand out. So you don't need to look like a robot like everyone else. And there's still skills you get out of juggling club, right? I mean, there's some actual like physical skill, but like the teamwork skill again, dealing with people. There's a lot of coordination in that. Maybe you're planning events. Leadership is huge. Also, students think like that research doesn't count. Of course, it depends on the employer. There are some employers who are really illogical and say, you can't have an internship with us if you haven't done an internship with another company, not realizing that it does have to start somewhere, right? Most employers don't do that, by the way, but there's occasionally ones that do. But most employers are going to look equally happily on you with research experience as an internship, right? It's still experience. You're using your skills, you're developing your skills. So that's awesome. Also, they're happy that you worked at an ice cream shop, right? Again, not a lot of engineering involved there, but it shows you're responsible. They know you're going to show up on time. If you showed up for an ice cream job, they're hoping you're going to show up a lot more eager for this job that you're hopefully more excited about, right? And that I want to go back to what Aarick said about like finding out what you don't like. That is so helpful. Not just what you don't like, but so many students are like, I just want a job. I want any job. That's not appealing to employers, right? That sounds kind of desperate. An employer loves it if you can sound like you know what you're looking for. And I get you don't always know, right? Sometimes it's a little bit of a stretch, but if you can come in saying, I don't want to do this, I want to do this, that's so helpful because they want to see that you have some focus. I don't know if that answered that question well enough or not.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Jennifer, also for the other person. I apologize. I was in and out at the beginning of preparing food for them. So I missed your talk. You might have mentioned that in your presentation. I was just wondering. So as you're in charge of the career services at WashU, when employers come to recruit, right, interns or permanent jobs or whatnot, do you maybe have a short list of maybe software programs or software skills that most employers ask for? Do you have any sense of that? Like, they need AutoCAD or they need MATLAB and things like that. Is there some popular ones?
I think most important is it's just nice to be able to showcase some hard skills, and those computer skills are the easier ones to showcase. So, for instance, if I want to be a chemical engineer, it's going to be hard early on to have like a specific chemical engineering skill I can showcase, but it can be fairly easy early on to learn CAD. Like you said, CAD is great, right? Whether that's AutoCAD or SolidWorks or whatever it is you're learning, a CAD software is always going to be valuable because that's something you can use very early on before you've developed a lot of the higher level classes. Yeah, MATLAB is always good. And then software, I mean, Java is going to be the standard, but really, I don't think there's one. I think companies just want to know that you have the general programming skills. And again, it's transferable. If you know Java, I expect I can teach you Python or whatever else. I mean, there's some specifics. If you want to do web development, obviously knowing a web development language is a good idea if you're that specifically interested, but really just some basic skills. And then we can teach you something else. So you learned SolidWorks. I use AutoCAD. I'm not worried about that. You can pick it up, right? But so just some general purpose skills are really great. You don't need it. Don't feel like you have to have it, but that is something that can really add to your confidence to be like, oh, at least I can offer this skill, but then I'm willing to learn more specific ones.
Yeah, and I'll jump in here and add to Jennifer. As an employer, it's great if you have taken the initiative and you've learned something that you're not supposed to. So if you have the ArcGIS, ServCAD, AutoCAD, SEDCAD, any of those, put that on your resume. It just says like, hey, yeah, I am actually interested in this. and then adding in those research projects that you've done.
Excellent.
Yeah, even Excel. If you're a pro at Excel, that's awesome.
All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Jennifer, I'm gonna go back to you. I have one more question for you. What kind of support will students expect to receive from the Career Services office?
Yeah, thank you for the chance to talk about that. So yeah, dual degree students are one of my favorite populations. And I don't just say that, I'm not just saying that, I mean it. I really enjoy working with that group because typically it's a very dedicated group, right? You have a very interesting background, and it's great. But I know it's a lot to jump in on too, right? It's a big transition. And so we're there to support from the start. I will tell you, I have a session in like a month or something for the incoming accepted students for next year already, where I'll begin to introduce resources, although I won't really start to work with students until they're actually students in the fall, right? But I do begin already in the spring, trying to start that conversation and talk about what you can do the summer before you come to campus. But yeah, in the fall, I'll have sessions in the orientation, and then we'll do some follow-up things. And we often do multiple things throughout the year with dual degree. And then beyond that, you have access to all the resources that any student would have. Any WashU student or alum keeps our services at all times. And so you can meet with me or other advisors in our office. It's not just me, right? I'm the primary one, but there's plenty of others who help as well. And so we'll help with all of it. We'll help with your documents, your resume, and your cover letter. We'll help with interviewing skills. We'll help with how to deal with the job offers, how to negotiate. But then like the smaller pieces, the negotiation, and once the timing. And of course, we offer the big programs, right? We'll have career fairs, we'll have panels, all sorts of different resources like that we offer.
Thank you. Anybody have other questions? I'll keep going with mine.
They're too shy.
I figured, so
I know this group is shy.
I've been trying to think of what you all might be interested in. Aarick, for the natural resources internships, you mentioned that the summer internship application deadline just passed. If students missed that deadline, do you recommend, or what are your suggestions on how they move forward? Are they able to reach out and say, hey, I'm still interested if you still have openings? Or can they reach out to you or other staff just to learn more about what that internship program is all about?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, even though the application process has ended, if you're still hoping to at least talk to somebody, or maybe to get your application under the wire, yeah, you guys can reach out to me. If you have anybody at any point in time who wants more information on DNR stuff, you can absolutely reach out to me. I'm kind of like the point of contact for the entire department, just because I know pretty much every program in person. So say you have an interest in energy engineering, we actually have an energy program within our department. So I can get you in contact with somebody who does the actual job, and you guys can talk one-on-one. I know it's hard, getting individuals together for these kind of meetings, but I can absolutely, set something up for everybody. Because yeah, if you want to learn more about something maybe you don't know about, you can absolutely contact us. And everybody here at DNR is pretty chill and cool. We would love to have our shadowing programming back and our mentoring program, but right now it's just not happening. But in the future, we do have those. So if you want to shadow somebody for a few days and they have the time, you can absolutely do that. And I will say, in our internship program, like Jennifer was saying, if you don't know where to apply or what to apply, or maybe you don't know how to write up your resume, the only qualifications for some of these internship positions that we put down is, hey, are you going to school for engineering? Or hey, do you have an interest in it? Are you taking an engineering class, like one course, something, anything? Because you don't know. We want to make sure that you know what you want when you come in here, but you might not know at first. You're still being molded. You're still figuring things out. And we don't expect you to have everything laid out and set for the future. So we understand.
Thank you.
Aarick, is it Aarick?
Aarick.
Okay, sorry, yeah, you actually answered half of my question. I'm here actually this question. I'm asking on behalf of one of our undergrads who just emailed me. She cannot get here today because of time conflict with another meeting. She's actually interested in environmental engineering. So my question is this: so how early can they apply? So if they're freshman, a sophomore, junior, I mean, is there a preference on the timeline? But you just said that even if they don't know anything yet, and especially I was going to ask about the shadowing thing, but you said that's actually indeed a possibility at DNR.
Yeah, so we take anybody from freshman all the way up to postgraduate. So we want to make sure that anybody who has an interest in environmental services like us, they get that opportunity. So if they're a freshman and they just have an interest in it, they're more than welcome to apply.
We're currently in the Intro to Engineering class right now this semester. She's definitely into environmental engineering. So, I mean, I was thinking, if say internship, you said the deadline has passed, and maybe shadowing at some point. Maybe how should we initiate that? How should we just ask her to contact you directly, or yeah, you can have her contact me directly. Mandy has my email address, so that'll go directly to me. So if you just want it, Mandy, if you want to give him that, yeah, she can contact me anytime. Awesome, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Same thing for the rest of you. Anybody has any questions past today, talk to Mandy. She can get you in touch with me.
Yep. That's what I'm here for, helping make connections. Okay. We're going to close up here right now. If you all have any further questions that pop up, let me know, and I can shoot them an email, or I can get you connected with them specifically, and you can talk more about your questions. But I want to thank all three of you for joining us today. I think these are really helpful for our students to just learn more and hear from professionals in the field. So just thank you very much. For Cole and the students here, if you want to hang back just 1 minute, I want to announce who will be on the April panel, just so you know who's coming. But for the rest of you, if you like, we'll see you later, and I'm sure I'll be in contact with all three of you at some point.
Thank you all so much.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Okay. All right, cool, you're there. Okay. So those coming up, just real quick. For the April 14th panel, we have Robert Fortner from Evergy. It's a kind of energy company in Kansas City. We have Jessica Zellep, who is with SM Global in St. Louis, but more importantly, she is a volunteer mentor with the Engineering Club of St. Louis, which is a huge organization in St. Louis, apparently, for engineers and engineering students. So she'll be speaking, actually kind of doing dual, talking about her own role, but then also about her mentoring and what the engineering club is. And then we'll have another Department of Natural Resources person. Her name is Cindy LePage. She is an environmental engineer, and she works in the water protection program. So we'll hear a little bit more about the DNR. Okay. But once the recording is done doing what it does, I'll send it out to everybody, or I'll send it to you so you can send it out to everybody, especially those that aren't here. And I'll include the links from Aarick and Linda's PowerPoint and all that extra information.
Yeah, I'm gonna put on a Teams page.
Yeah. So thanks guys for coming. I appreciate it. I hope you feel like you learned.
If you have a question, you also email me or ask me if I can.
Cool. I'll see you later. I'm gonna go ahead and end.
Alrighty, thank you.
See ya.
See ya.